Lakers have not won a series in which they were down 2-1 after 3 games since 2004, the Western Conference semis against San Antonio.
We know that Stephen A. is ready for the Knicks and the Pistons a little bit later, but the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers here, it feels like L.A., they had that last game in their grasp here, Stephen A., but it was the closing of Anthony Edwards. They were able to pull it out. What does L.A. need to do to bounce back?
Well, they need to neutralize Anthony Edwards. Good luck with that because, again, his star ascends as the lights get brighter. LeBron James is having an outstanding game against Minnesota that we've seen him play in the last couple of years against those guys. But in the end, Jaden McDaniels, let's not forget him. He had 30. Let's not forget the contribution that Julius Randle has been making. Let's not forget the size and the physicality that Minnesota has been playing with to let the Lakers know what you do with everybody else, you ain't going to be able to do so easily against us. So that combined with Ant-Man doing what he does, I mean, the Lakers have to win this game.
Yeah.
They're going to have to match their intensity, their physicality, and one star on the Lakers is going to have to be bigger than Ant-Man when it counts.
Right, and for Luka Doncic, certainly you're right. It was one of his poorer performances here. We know he was battling through that stomach virus. Hopefully he's gotten past that and is able to have a little bit of a better output here.
I believe he will, but it needs to come from J.J. Redick, right? What adjustments he's going to make lineup-wise, because Stephen A. just talked about it, you know, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Rudy, you know, punishing them in the paint. Jay McDaniels, do you add some minutes in there for Jackson Hayes, right? Like, how much is LeBron James going to be able to give you, Malika, when you think about it, especially the performance he had in Game 3?
How do you follow that up? You already are setting a record for a 40-year-old in a postseason.
Well, I mean, it's hard, but think about what he's having to do so much defensively. Like, you're in the trenches, right? You're in the trenches. You're guarding Julius Randle, who is a physical player. So, again, I think it's some minutes there for Jackson Hayes. You got to go big at some point against this Timberwolves team.
The Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James being about 250, 260, depending on which day of the week it is accustomed to playing bully ball at his discretion when he wants to. Not so easy against Minnesota. Julius Randle likes to bang. Rudy Gobert, physically speaking, he's not weak. And so you look, and McDaniels, as slim as he is, he can get up in there too. And Ant-Man is Ant-Man. It's not easy.
We've talked about this as having the potential to be a long series, but in order for that to happen, the Los Angeles Lakers, they need to get this one. We'll be with you at 12:30 Eastern on ABC for NBA Countdown.
All right, thanks, guys. Luka Doncic and LeBron James have traditionally done well when their teams have been behind in playoff series. In his postseason career, Doncic is second in points per game when trailing in a playoff series in NBA history, behind only Michael Jordan, while James is fifth on series. All right, after that on ABC, it's Lakers, Timberwolves. So, Q, who is your biggest catalyst or factor for the rest of that series? Is it going to be LeBron, Ant-Man, or Luka?
For me, it's Ant-Man. Ant-Man has been the guy. He's been the guy leading the way for Minnesota. He's risen to the occasion. He's answered every call, and he's a driving force for them, man. I mean, you look at the way the series has went, he's been the standout star. I mean, Luka's taking a turn, LeBron's taking a turn, but Ant-Man has been the one constant. He's the driving force for them, and he must do this. If they're going to have an opportunity or be in the game, he has to go out there and put up big numbers every single night and hope he gets support from the supporting cast.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is Anthony Edwards, top to bottom. This Wolves team has struggled in the clutch. They were bottom 10 offense and defense in the clutch. 26 or so clutch losses this season. But it's Anthony Edwards, what we saw in Game 3, who pulled together, making every right play and was the best clutch player, sharing the court with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. That is the type of Anthony Edwards that we need. And he is in prime position right now today to play against this Lakers team and go up 3-1 with the probably tired LeBron, with the Luka, who is recovering from that stomach virus. This was best shot at really going as far as he can to close the door on this series, and that a lot of that is going to probably happen in the clutch.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards lost in 48 hours to prepare for this matchup. How is he preparing going into this game against the Timberwolves?
Yeah, he's had a lot less than 48 hours. I mean, that was the last game of the night on Friday, and this is going to be coming up at 2:30 Central this afternoon, as you said, when the Timberwolves take on the Lakers. This is going to be a Herculean task for LeBron James and the Lakers to come back and be ready for this game. You saw LeBron obviously expended a ton of energy in that Game 3 loss, knowing Luka Doncic was dealing with that stomach bug that had to miss the start of the second half. LeBron clearly emptied the tank, tried to give the Lakers everything he could. Wasn't quite enough to beat this young, deep Timberwolves team that saw Anthony Edwards really take over down the stretch in Game 3. And one other thing to watch beyond LeBron's energy level and how Luka bounces back from that stomach bug is the Lakers' ability to handle the Timberwolves inside. In their Game 2 win, the Lakers were able to out-rebound Minnesota. The other 2 games, Minnesota controlled the boards that helped them control the victory. The Lakers are going to have to be able to score in the paint, be able to control the paint. They want a chance to even the series this afternoon against Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota outscored the Lakers in the paint 56-26 in that Game 3 win. At 7 Eastern, the Celtics look to bounce back from their Game 3 loss against the Magic in Orlando. The Celtics will be without Jrue Holiday for a second straight game. He has a right hamstring strain. And at 9:30 Eastern, the Pacers visit the Bucks in Game 4. The Greek Freak is averaging close to 36 points and 14 rebounds a game in this series. Malika Andrews and the Countdown crew now on this Sunday marquee matchup. Locked in on this series and also locked in on taking down LeBron James as well. So we're scanning the NBA. We found a QR code in the Magic Celtics series. So Q, what's the code that Orlando must live by to tie this series up?
It's what Orlando is all about. The Magic and Coach Mosley, he's built them, and their identity is defense. They got to have scrappy, disruptive defense to have a chance in this series. Obviously, they need their stars, Paolo and Franz, to be big, but defensively is where they hang their hat, and defensively is how they can beat this Celtics team. They've disrupted them from shooting threes better than anybody else in the league this year, and that's what they have to do this series. They have the length, they have the size, they have the different versatile defenders that could play all of the different players that Boston has and give them problems.
Yeah, what do you know? I got the same QR code on my phone, too. It is about the Orlando Magic defense, especially their ability to run the Boston Celtics off that three-point line. They held them to just 27 three-point shot attempts in that last game, and that is really the Magic calling card. Is they're forcing you into the paint, and they're giving you a lot of that, what we discussed earlier, that physicality that's really ruffling Boston's feathers. You can hear what Jaylen Brown's saying after the game. It's really starting to annoy them and irritate them, and that Orlando defense is really going to cause trouble for that Boston Celtics. I don't know if they have enough offensive firepower, but at least Boston's going to field them defensively through the rest of the series.
Look, I spent enough time in Boston covering the Celtics to know that this Orlando Magic team, they got all the smoke for the Celtics, so do not be surprised when you see them playing them down to the wire. ESPN projections gives Boston a 64% chance to win today.
Now getting up with us early. All right, so Tim, this matchup is hearkening back to your playing days with all the physicality we've seen from both sides. Feels like I'm watching the bad boys out there. How could that impact the rest of this series?
Well, you know, Ryan, a player like me from the 90s is not going to complain about all this physicality. I love it. It's what I want it to be in the playoffs. I think it's what's to be expected. It's how it should be in the playoffs. But here's, I think, in this series, very important. Assuming that you feel like it's called evenly both ways, the amount of contact they're going to allow on ball handlers, I do think it might be a slight advantage for the Knicks just because I think they've got more guys that from a skill standpoint can still play through the contact and do their normal thing offensively. I think that's very important. But look, the X factors without question are the shooters for Detroit. And if they show up in a big way, and I'm talking about Tobias Harris, who was incredible in the first half of Game 1, Tim Hardaway, who had a big Game 3, and then Malik Beasley, who I feel like still hasn't really fully gotten on track in this series. The perimeter shot making of the Detroit Pistons is the single biggest factor, I believe, in their ability to get this thing to 2-2 and make it a best-of-3 series.
Yeah, you talk about Harris, Beasley, 17 points combined in that last game, not going to cut it against these Knicks. So when you look at this series, Tim, is there a way for you that the Pistons take this series, and how many games would they do it in your opinion?
Well, here's the thing. I think if I'm Jamie Bickerstaff, my message to the team, and even in the film sessions, you go and look at the amount of action that Detroit has controlled in this series, particularly the first 2 games in New York. We all know about the meltdown in the fourth quarter of Game 1, or they could have been walking out of there up 2-0. Now, in Game 3, the Knicks came out, got hot early. Karl Anthony Towns got involved early. The Knicks controlled most of Game 3, but I think overall, the Pistons have to feel really good about what they've been able to do offensively against this Knicks team, particularly considering all the young players going through this for the first time. So I think overall, Detroit is pretty happy with where they are. The keys, again, make threes, do not turn the ball over, and I do think Karl Anthony Towns needs to be the big name on the top of the whiteboard. If he doesn't get into a rhythm early in the game, I think it could be a little bit more of a struggle for him throughout. He got loose in the first quarter of the last game, and now he's a problem for the entire night. I think that's a big priority for the Detroit Pistons. But I think this home crowd, place is going to be bananas today. I can't wait to see the environment. I think Detroit is very confident they can get this back to New York all even.
Yeah, we all know Detroit hasn't